Hi, everyone. Matt DeSilva here from U.S. Lacrosse Magazine for another edition of 5 and 5. Joined now by the U.S. national team goalie Gussie Johns. And for those of you who are not familiar with this series, we really asked some of the top pros out there to give us their perspective, unfiltered, on their peers, what they see between the lines and beyond that. And Gussie, in your case, I guess we're talking about the perspective from the crease. And as you write about the 5 goalies who taught you everything that you know. And so I just, again, welcome to the 5 and 5.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's just get right into it. The first person on your list has a lot to do why you're playing the goalie position at all, and that's your brother, Bo Johns. How did he rope you into the position?
Yeah, so I grew up with 3 older brothers, and I actually played boys lacrosse growing up till about 8th grade. My dad actually started the youth league in the area called Wilax. So from the age 3 through 8th grade, I was kind of tagging along with my brothers and the guys in the area. And I saw my brother playing goalie and it looked interesting. And then in 5th grade, my dad brought me over to finally play some girls lacrosse. And if anyone is familiar with where I went to high school in St. Stephen's and St. Agnes, there's the old wooden stick thing that goes on there where Kathy Jenkins, famous coach, makes you play with those wooden sticks. And I never wanted to do that, and I didn't want to put a skirt on. So those two things combined, when I went over to the girls' side, made me want to hop in the crease, and I was already kind of familiar with all of the equipment. So that combination of my brother playing for so long and me looking up to him and kind of just wanting to be like him, and then not wanting to put on that skirt or use that wooden stick.
So an act of defiance for all intents and purposes. I'm sure Kathy Jenkins would be glad to hear that. No, that's legendary in women's lacrosse that, the players at St. Stephen's, St. Agnes come up using the wood stick, at least up through middle school. And certainly the proof is in the pudding in the success of that program, but understandable why you'd want to jump in the goal.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's worked and it does the job. It just, at that point wasn't for me as a little 5th grader, especially coming from the boys' side. So I was more interested in the big stick with the big net and all the pads.
Well, that's interesting because the next person on your list also was ingrained in the sport playing the boys' game first, and that's Devin Wills. And what an amazing story that is in its own right. Just the journey of your relationship with her, getting to share the crease with her in 2017 for Team USA, all those years after she first wouldn't say introduced you to the sport, but really inspired you for the position as well at a U.S. national team clinic all the way back when you were in 5th grade. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so right when I started playing at a high school near me in Alexandria, the U.S. women's national team came and held a clinic, and Jass was actually the coach who was running the goalie side of things. And towards the end of the clinic, the U.S. team was practicing, and she brought Devin over to meet me. And I didn't fully realize who she was, obviously, then, because I was just getting into the sport. But Jess talked to me about how great of a role model she could be and just how much of a future she saw in Devin and her in the U.S. program. And so fast forward, 6 or 7 years, my summer after my freshman year, I'm at the U.S. or the Under Armour tournament. And my first college call, my high school coach, Kathy Jenkins, calls me and says, call Coach Devin Wills from USC. She had just gotten out there, come start the program with Lindsay Monday. And I call her, and I remember she didn't answer the phone, but I left her a message and called her Coach Wills. And if anybody knows Devin, she is not someone who goes by the name of Coach Wills. Now she's very much Devin or Dev to me, as a great friend. And then I obviously played for her for 4 years at USC and learned more than I could have ever expected. And then again, fast forward to my junior year of college and got to share the crease with her on the US team, which was just an incredible experience within itself. And it's kind of a full circle type of thing. And it's a surreal story in a lot of ways, but something I am very thankful for, and the relationship I have with her and all that she's taught me over the years.
I mean, that's the stuff we dream about as storytellers, even on our side of things. I mean, we could bottle up that moment.
Yeah.
Jess Wilk, Devin Wills and Gussie Johns all in one place, a very young Gussie Johns. That's some pretty impressive company to be in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just cool to have the two of them in my corner and to have them now as people who I not only look up to, but also as who I can turn to throughout life and lacrosse as well. So they're just great mentors and great people that have taught me so much.
Well, and Jass is on your list as well. So we'll move right there. I mean, maybe you got some more of the style and technical elements from Devin, and from Jass, maybe it's a little bit more of the mental fortitude, right?
Yeah. So from Jess, I mean, she just harps so much on like how you play mentally within the cage and how big of a component that is, especially once you get to the elite level of US and in college. And the mental side of things is what really kind of sets the great apart from the good in a lot of ways. And she really harps on being yourself. And she always told me to talk to myself like I would talk to a teammate. And I never really fully understood that until I kind of took a step back. But goalie position is so hard and it's so mental and it's secluding in a lot of ways. So being able to have someone who really focused on that piece of the game so much in the way that she taught was essential to my success on the last, 4 years that I've known her in a large way.
Yeah, positive self-talk, such an important part
for sure
of the mental preparation for anyone, but especially a goalie.
Absolutely.
And then kind of full circle again, we talk about, an introduction into the sport being in the boys game. And then the last two goalies on your list happen to be men's goalies, and two pretty good ones at that, in Adam Gittleman and John Galloway, two guys we just got to see compete in the PLL Championship Series. Why are they on this list?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I grew up with three older brothers and playing boys lacrosse, and a lot of what we watched on television was boys lacrosse, just because it was the most accessible thing. And those two guys were so defining in their positions when they played that for two very different reasons. I mean, Adam is kind of the more adventurous, out of the cage, kind of spontaneous goalie, and John is much more of the, I think, fundamental based patient guy. And so for me, watching the two of them, two very polar opposite goalies, but still very successful at a high level, I wanted to try and take some of what they did and bring it into my game, and kind of get a balance between the two as much as possible, and kind of transfer some of the men's pieces into the girls' game. And two things they do so well are clearing as well. And clearing in the boys' game is also so fun to watch, and you didn't necessarily see that at the women's level. So something that I always looked up to and tried to emulate from those two as well.
I got to say, I might be showing my age a little bit, but one of the most fun, best goalie competitions I've ever seen play out was when John Galloway, Adam Gittleman, and Tyler Fiorito were battling for spots on the 2008 US U19 men's team.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, remember being in those tryouts at UMBC, sweltering heat, and those guys just seeing a ton of rubber, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, so that's
I'm sure.
Always tough decisions when it comes to Team USA, whether it's at the U19 or senior level.
Yeah, I mean, those are hard decisions to make at the end of the day. It's picking apples from oranges in so many ways. It's so many people possess so many great qualities at that level.
Well, that's an awesome crop of goalies that you just mentioned. May I ask, just to kind of wrap this up and summarize it, what about each of them and what you noticed in them and saw in them is present in your game? Like, if we're watching highlight tape now on Gussie Johns, what do we see that shows those different influences?
Yeah, so I'd say from my brother, it's a lot of the clearing. We used to wing the ball in the backyard into goals, into trash cans, 50 yards plus. A lot of times he would be much more accurate at that age than I was, but clearing is definitely something that I took from my brother from a young age and trying to bring to the girls' side of things. I mean, from Devin, you're going to see the most of her game and my game out of any of the goalies on this list, just because she's taught me so much in the 6 years that I've really worked with her. So you're going to see anything from my angles to the way I push off, to the way I'm standing. While she's a righty and I'm a lefty, we look very similar if you're just kind of taking a picture in a mirror image. And then from Jess, I don't think it's necessarily a tangible thing that you can pick out, but the mental piece is definitely something that and just a cool, calm, and collected. I try and be that way, and she was so much that way when she played, and she is that way as a coach as well. So that's definitely something that's come into my game, or at least that I've tried to emulate. And then Adam, the coming out of the crease stuff, he comes out of the crease in so many creative ways, and is so, I think, while some people might think he is not controlled, he is so calculated with how he does it. And he knows exactly what he's doing, and he is in control when he's out of the cage. And so I'd say that's the biggest piece that's kind of transferred over to my game. And then from John, I would say it's the patience piece. He's so fundamentally focused and just patient in the way that he plays that it's hard to teach. But it's something that I tried to pull over from a young age as I saw great value in that. And so those I think are the biggest highlights from each of their playing careers that I've tried to pull into my own game.
Very well said. Now, before I let you go, I do want to go back to Devin. And again, he's such a crucial influence on your career, and Devin Wills. And you relayed to me the last time we spoke a really interesting story about at the World Games in Poland when she was out playing the field as a defender, and you're in the crease, and you were in a position where you had to relay some information from the sideline, and it didn't go so well, did it?
No, I mean, so she was playing defense in the World Games. After the World Cup, she was like, I'm done. That's how I'm ending my career in the goal. I'm going to switch over to defense in the World Games. So it was a little bit of a passing of the torch from her to me in that sense. And then coming from USC, I know because she played a lot with us in practice, she loves to check and is a very good checker, but sometimes gets a little bit of a big swing on her. And so we're in a game, I'm pretty sure it's Canada, and she takes a big tomahawk swing and gets a yellow card. And Ricky's like, you have to tell her to stop swinging. And I'm like, nope, can't do that. Absolutely not. I'm going to let her do her thing. But it's just funny that it's this complete role reversal. We talked about it last time, and very much a symbolic kind of passing of the torch, which is just in my mind so cool, and is just such a cool experience to be a part of in so many ways.
Yeah, from start to finish for your career, especially how it's interwoven with Devin's, really some storybook stuff. So
absolutely.
Gussie, I really appreciate you taking the time to share this with us today. And if you want more, folks, head over to uslaxmagazine.com. This has been the 5 and 5 with Gussie Johns.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.